The day I saw the boy throw up food on his own floor, I knew our compound would never be the same again. His body bent like he was in pain. The food dropped from his mouth and his eyes looked empty, like somebody who already knows what will happen next. His mother stood over him, not shouting, not rushing, just watching him like this was normal. When her hand lifted, I turned my face away. I did not want to see the slap, but I heard it. It was small, sharp, and sure. After that, she told him to clean the floor and finish the food. That was the day I understood why food scared him. But let me go back to how I first noticed the boy. My name is Rose. People in the compound call me Auntie Rose because I am older and because I sell akara every morning by the roadside. I have lived in this compound for many years. I have seen many children grow here, fight here, cry here, and live here. So when a child is not normal, I notice. The boy's name is Sadiq. He is small for his age, but his eyes are big and careful. He always greets well. Good afternoon, ma. Good evening, auntie. He says it like somebody who is afraid to make mistake. Every day after school, when other children rush home for food, Sadiq walks from door to door. One day, he eats rice in one house. Another day, he eats bread in another. Sometimes it is just soup and gari. He never complains. He never asks for more. He eats like someone who is borrowing food, not like someone who is hungry. At first, nobody found it strange. Life is hard. Children beg sometimes. But after some time, we noticed something. Sadiq never eats in his own house. His house is at the back of the compound. One room, one small window. The door is always open, but the room is always dark. Each time I see Sadiq passing there, he does not enter fast. He slows down like the ground inside is hot. When people asked his mother, Zainab, she always laughed. That boy is stubborn. He does not like home food. He prefers eating outside. She said it with a smile, but her eyes were not smiling. I started watching Sadiq closely. Anytime food falls on the ground, he jumps. Anytime somebody raises their voice, his shoulders go up. If food is late, he starts to shake small. It is not the shake of hunger. It is the shake of fear. One afternoon, I gave him beans. He sat on my small bench and started eating. Then I told him to eat well so he will be strong when he gets home. His spoon stopped in the air. His hand began to shake. He said he was not hungry again. That was when something inside me stood up. That afternoon, I followed him home. I followed Sadiq that afternoon with my heart beating fast like I was doing something wrong. I did not want him to see me. I did not want anybody to think I was looking for trouble. I only wanted to understand. The sun was still high and the ground was hot. Children were playing football in the compound, shouting and laughing. Sadiq walked past them without stopping. He did not look back. He held his school bag tight to his chest like it was protecting him. When he reached his house, he slowed down. His steps became small and careful. He stood by the door for some seconds before entering. I stood behind the mango tree, pretending to pick leaves. Inside the room, it was quiet. Too quiet for a house with a child. I heard his mother's voice. It was not loud, but it was sharp. Why are you late? Sadiq did not answer. I moved closer, holding my breath. The door was open and I could see inside. The room was bare. No table, no chair. Just a mat in one corner and a pot on the floor. The smell hit my nose before I saw the food. It was the smell of old food, food that had stayed too long, food that had been warmed and cooled many times.
Zainab opened the pot and scooped the food into a plate. The rice was wet and broken. The soup had too much oil floating on top. Flies danced around it like they were happy. "Sit down." Sadiq stood there. His eyes were on the floor. "Sit." He slowly sat on the mat. "Eat." He looked at the plate. His face changed. His lips began to shake. "I am not hungry." Before the words finished, her hand landed on his head. "You will eat." Sadiq picked the spoon. His hand was shaking so much that the spoon made noise on the plate. He took one spoon into his mouth. His face squeezed tight. His body bent forward and the food came out. It happened fast. Beans and rice on the floor. The smell became worse. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Zainab slapped him. It was not the kind of slap that makes noise. It was the kind of slap that knows where to land. Sadiq did not cry. He did not scream. He just nodded like he was agreeing with something. "Clean it." He stood up, picked a rag, and wiped the floor with shaking hands. "Finish the food." That was when I stepped back. My legs were weak. My chest was tight. I felt like crying, but no tears came out. Now I understood everything. This boy was not stubborn. He was afraid. Afraid of the food. Afraid of the room. Afraid of the woman that should protect him. That night, I could not sleep. Each time I closed my eyes, I saw Sadiq's shaking hands and the plate of food on the floor. In the morning, I watched him come out of the house. He washed his face at the tap. He adjusted his uniform. He smiled and greeted everybody like nothing happened. But I knew. And once you know something like that, you cannot pretend you did not see it. After that day, I could not look at Sadiq the same way again. Every time I saw him eating in another person's house, my chest would tighten. Every time he said, "Thank you, Auntie," and wiped his mouth carefully, I wondered what kind of food was waiting for him at home. I started paying attention to his mother too. Zainab was always neat. Her wrapper was clean. Her head tie was always tight. She greeted people with respect. If you did not live in the compound, you would think she was a good woman. But I noticed small things. She never allowed Sadiq to play for long. One shout of his name and he would run to her like a chicken running from hawk. If food finished in the compound kitchen, she would blame him. If something went missing, she looked at him first. One evening, I was frying akara when Sadiq came to sit beside me. He did not ask for food. He just sat there watching the oil. I gave him one akara. He smiled and said, "Thank you, Auntie." As he ate, I asked him why he likes eating outside. He stopped chewing. He said home food makes his stomach turn. I asked him why. He shrugged his shoulders. I did not ask again. That night, I spoke with two women in the compound, Mama Alima and Aisha from upstairs. I told them what I saw. They were quiet for a long time. Mama Alima shook her head. "That woman is too hard." Aisha said, "Maybe the boy is just weak." I knew that was not true. The next day, I watched Sadiq closely again. It was a Saturday, no school. Children were playing early. Sadiq joined them for some time. He laughed small, then stopped. When his mother came out, he froze. She told him to come inside. His face changed. Later that afternoon, I heard noise from their room. Not shouting, not crying, just the sound of something hitting the wall. Once, twice, then silence. My hands were shaking as I fried akara. I wanted to go there. I wanted to knock on the door, but fear held me back. Fear of what she would say, Fear of what people would think. Fear of bringing trouble into my own life. That night, I felt ashamed of myself. I remembered my own childhood, how my mother used to shout but still feed us, how hunger was never used as punishment, how food was love. This was not love. The next morning, I made up my mind. If nobody else would speak, I would. I waited for a time when other people were around, when the compound was not quiet, when things could not be hidden. I went to Zainab and asked her about Sadiq. She smiled. That boy again. He is stubborn. He likes embarrassment. I told her children do not fear food without reason. Her smile left her face. She told me to mind my business. I walked away, but my heart was strong now. I knew this thing would not end quietly. Something had to break.
The thing broke on a hot afternoon when the whole compound was awake. I was selling akara, as usual, when I heard Sadiq scream. It was not loud, but it was sharp, like pain escaping by mistake. People stopped what they were doing. A ball rolled and nobody chased it. The air became heavy. The scream came from their room. Before I could think, my legs were already moving. Others followed. Mama Halima, Aisha, 2 men from the front rooms. We did not plan it, it just happened. When we reached the door, it was open. Inside, Sadiq was on the floor. The plate was beside him. Food was scattered. His school uniform was stained. His eyes were wide, full of fear. Zainab stood over him with a spoon in her hand. Eat. The word dropped in the room like stone. I stepped forward. Leave the boy. She turned to me slowly. Mind your business. I said food is not beaten into a child. She shouted that she feeds him, that she trains him, that nobody will tell her how to raise her child. People started talking at the same time. The room became noisy. One man asked why the food was smelling bad. Another woman asked why the boy looked sick. Zainab became angry. She said hunger makes children strong. She said too much soft life spoils children. She said her own mother treated her worse. As she talked, Sadiq sat on the floor, shaking. He did not look at anyone. He stared at the food like it was poison. I bent down in front of him. I told him to stand up. He did not move. I held his hand. It was cold. That was when everybody saw it. The marks on his arm. Old marks, new marks, small lines, dark patches. The noise stopped. Mama Halima covered her mouth. One of the men shook his head. Zainab looked around and saw their faces change. She started crying. She said people hate her. She said people want to take her child. She said she is doing her best. I told her her best is hurting the boy. Someone went to call the community leader. Zainab started begging. She said she would change. She said she would be better. Sadiq vomited again. This time, nobody shouted at him. I carried him outside. He was light in my arms, too light for a child his age. I gave him water. He drank slowly. People stood around, quiet and ashamed. That afternoon, the compound learned something. Cruelty does not always shout. Sometimes it smiles, and sometimes it hides behind food.
After that day, nothing went back to normal. The community leader came in the evening. He sat on the wooden bench and listened. Zainab talked. We talked. The room felt small, like it was tired of holding secrets. Sadiq sat beside me. He did not leave my side. It was agreed that the boy would stay with Zainab's elder sister for some time, just to rest, just to heal. Zainab cried and nodded. Her tears were many, but her eyes were dry. That night, Sadiq slept in my room. I gave him food, fresh food, warm food. He stared at the plate for a long time. I told him nobody would beat him. He asked if he could eat slowly. I said yes. He took small bites. He waited after each spoon like he was expecting something bad. When nothing happened, his shoulders slowly dropped. That was the first time I saw him eat without fear. In the morning, he woke early. He folded the mat neatly. He swept my room without being told. When I asked him why, he said he did not want trouble. My heart broke again. When his aunt came, Sadiq stood up and carried his small bag. He looked back at the compound like someone leaving a place that never loved him. Before he left, he hugged me. He said food tastes better when nobody is angry. After he left, the compound became quiet. Zainab stayed indoors for many days. When she came out, people greeted her but did not laugh with her again. Something had shifted. Weeks passed. One afternoon, I saw Sadiq again. He came with his aunt. He looked better. His cheeks were fuller. His eyes were brighter. He ran to me and hugged me tight. He told me he eats at home now. He told me his aunt eats with him. That night, I sat alone and thought about everything. About how easy it is to call a child stubborn. About how hunger can be used like a whip. About how many children are afraid of the very thing that should make them feel safe. I still sell akara every morning. Children still come and go. Some eat, some play. But now I watch closer. Because sometimes a child is not refusing food. Sometimes food is teaching a child how to fear.